5 things that I love about my Maserati Granturismo and 5 things that I hate. Starting off with number 1 of things that I love is just overall driving the car. I feel planted to the road. Just cruising down the road, it can be nice and smooth and enjoyable. And then as soon as you put it in sport mode, it just makes it feel that much more aggressive and a blast to drive. It's quick. I wouldn't say it's absolutely fast. It does have 450 horsepower, but it does weigh 4,500 pounds or so. So fast, I wouldn't quite say, but definitely quick. Number 2 is the look of the car. It's got that sporty, aggressive look, but as well as classy. It's not super aggressive, it's not super in your face, it's just looks great. As far as number 3, you can't go wrong with the sound of the engine. It has a 4.7 liter V8 that is a cooperation between Maserati and Ferrari. So for people to say that, you know, it has a Ferrari engine, yes and no. It's a Ferrari derived engine where it shares a lot of components with Ferrari, but it's not a fully true Ferrari engine. Sometimes at a certain speed, at like 3rd gear, at about 30, I can start giving a little bit of gas, let off, and just kind of tap the gas, and it starts to have a little burble. Not super excessive like on some BMWs and such, but just enough where it sounds really good. You do a couple downshifts. Fourth thing is I honestly do like the interior. Mine's a black with a tannish white interior. Steering wheel, honestly kind of ugly, but not awful. Infotainment system is definitely outdated, but the leather in it just feels great. Steering wheel is nice and big, and not super thick, but not super thin. So it has a nice feel to it, and definitely keeps you connected to the roads. And with it being a 2+2, you can have more people in it, so you can go on a nice trip with a couple people and still be somewhat comfortable. As long as you're in the front. In the back, it can be a little bit squished. Another thing with the interior is at night, my gauges glow like a tealish blue or green. Same with the clock, and I like the clock. For whatever reason, it just, when I see it, whatever, I just see the time, I just like it, I just smile at it, whatever. That also glows a bluish green as well. And then I like the wood. The wood just has a nice little classy feel to it. And reason number 5, it's the kind of the attention that it gets. You know, it's not one of those cars that gets an absurd amount of attention like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, McLaren. It's just kind of car that people look at, you know, they'll smile, they'll give you a thumbs up, they think it's just a cool car, and it sounds good. Those are the 5 things that I love about the Granturismo. Now, 5 things that I hate. Not sure if you can hear it in the video, but number 1 thing that I cannot stand is just the brakes. No, if they're not warm and you're hitting the brakes, they squeal so loud. And I know everybody else can hear it. There's a lot of cars that do it, but this car in particular, I think is just obnoxiously loud. Number 2, back to the interior, it's just outdated. You know, steering wheel is big. I like the steering wheel. I think the airbag is kind of ugly. You know, you could have, there's plenty of opportunity for a cooler design for an airbag. At least with the steering wheel wise. And that the infotainment center is really outdated. As well as in the glove box, you can hook up your phone to it, but only for Bluetooth calls, as well as they give you a cable to hook your phone up that way through auxiliary, but it's for an MP3 player. it's the really wide adapter, and they give you that up until 2018 when they had to change the infotainment center because there was a US mandate to have a backup camera. And no, this thing does not have a backup camera, and it is pretty long, and it does have a couple little blind spots, so you just gotta pay attention to where you're driving. Little kids. See, just like that, back to like the attention, whatever. Kids love it, so you know, you have to rev it for them. Now, if I really have to kind of nitpick, only specific I wouldn't say models, but like years, they do have a problem with their engine where it doesn't keep enough oil up in the top of the engine, and every now and then on startups, when I go to start it up, it does have a little noticeable tick, and as soon as oil starts circulating, it goes away. So, and to fix that, it is fairly expensive. You know, I've seen anywhere from, you know, $3,000 to $6,000 and up. So eventually I will do that myself. Parts, as you can imagine on this thing, are not cheap. I bought valve cover gaskets, spark plugs, belts, air filters, and a couple other things, and it ended up being almost $1,000 in just parts. And honestly, it just comes with the territory of the car. Just expensive parts. The other thing I would hate, again nitpicking, is this car eats through tires like ridiculously fast. The factory car, or the factory tires that the car wants, are Pirelli P0s, and oh my god, I was going through tires every 5,000 miles, if that, with a good alignment. And I switched out to from Pirelli P0s to Michelin Pilot Sports, and I have almost tripled, maybe quadrupled the life of my tires. So that would be number 4. It's just eating through tires and the tire size. I think just the 2 rear tires alone, through my work with my discount, was still almost $800 just for 2 tires. So like, you know, there's nothing I can really do about it. Tires are just the cost of tires, regular maintenance. So, and I do love driving the car, so that's just how it goes. Last thing for number 5 is no front lip. It's not a super low car, but it does have a long front end. So when you're coming up on something, you just have to angle it and make sure you don't scrape the bumper. But there's plenty of times that I've scraped the bumper because I thought I had a good enough angle and I just didn't. So you kind of just have to play by how you see the angle and just angle it. And a lot of times you get lucky and you don't scrape, and sometimes you just get the unfortunate scrape, and you know, you're gonna have to repair the front bumper at some point. And I guess with the front lip and no front lift is it does, when you look left to see if there's any traffic, there is a pretty noticeable blind spot. You really have to like get over and look, but those are all just nitpicking. I absolutely love this thing. It's just a blast to drive. As well as, really quick, if you have the radio off, you get a little tack gauge in the actual gate, like infotainment center, gauge cluster itself, and it's just it's fun just to watch the RPM gauge just go up and down, and with the sound of the car, just makes you smile. And those are the 5 things that I love and hate about my Maserati Granturismo, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and just like that, this video's over.